My name is Chidin, and I am a teacher with the Mindfulness Association. And I would like to say a few words about the Mindfulness Association Level 3 training, which is creating the conditions for insight. At this level of the training, we go deeper than we did with the mindfulness and the compassion. The mindfulness is very important because it creates the stability and the settledness in our mind so that we can look deeper. And the compassion is important because it creates the warm, accepting environment within which we can explore ourselves. So with that as a basis, the insight looks more closely at habit patterns. So I think the main reason for doing the insight training is to get an insight into the habit patterns that rule your life. Many of us live our lives completely unaware of powerful habits that are shaping us and that are ruling how we think, how we feel, how we behave. And often these come from self-protection mechanisms in childhood. And they might have served us a long time ago, but many of them do not serve us now. So these habit patterns that we might look at are things like not being willing to feel joy, not being willing to feel sad, not allowing ourselves to get angry. And often the result of these patterns is that we don't feel fully alive. We don't feel fully engaged in what we're doing. And some other patterns are like living up to unrealistic ideals, being perfectionist, or otherwise being compulsively self-critical and constantly putting ourselves down. So the insight training is helping us really face and see these patterns directly. And a really key principle of the insight training is that when we see these patterns that shape our lives, they lose power over us. It's like as soon as we see them, their power is no longer there. And it's a kind of seeing that frees. All we need to do is see them, and then gradually we find ourselves being able to live from a different place within ourselves. And we find that we are more able to choose more life-affirming, life-enhancing ways of being. So that's the reason for the insight training, to really see the habits that shape our life, especially the negative ones. Now, the way that we do it is there's a twofold approach. And this twofold approach very much builds on the mindfulness and compassion practices you would have done in the mindfulness training and the compassion training. So the first kind of part of the first major practice approach is to become more attuned to and sensitive about subtle mind process. So what I really mean here is we start to notice that at the subliminal level of the mind, there are many conditioned reflexes and drivers that are shaping our behavior. And it's like these lie just below the surface. These lie just below the surface of our normal awareness. So what we're trying to do is just see these mechanisms. And again, when we see them, they lose their power. And the other key approach that we take in the insight training is just to rest in the midst of what we see. So what we do here is we develop the open awareness aspect of practice. So in mindfulness, you are focusing more on a support like breathing or sound. But here, what we're doing is we are regarding everything in our experience as the practice. And we just rest in the midst of whatever we feel, whatever we hear, whatever we see. So we bring these two together, being really sensitively tuned in to things that are occurring at a subliminal level. And we are more and more opening the frame of our awareness and just resting in the midst. This combination is very powerful. And an analogy for this is, if you imagine your washing machine at home, there's a strange sound coming from it. And, you know, it's kind of a worrying sound, okay? And maybe the washing machine is an analogy for the mind. So what you do is you get the washing machine manual, which in this case is the Insight manual, and you begin disassembling the washing machine. And you get all the parts and lay them out on the kitchen floor. And maybe you discover the part that was causing the noise, okay? And now all you do is you just sit on the floor with all the parts around you. Where it differs from the washing machine is you don't go to Amazon and order a new part, okay? All you do now is sit on the kitchen floor with all the parts around you, and gradually things reintegrate in a different way. So I think that is a useful metaphor for how the Insight training works. It's a kind of deconstruction process in which we separate out the different elements of the things going on in the mind, and we just rest in the midst of it all with awareness, with kindness, offer space. As to how we do the Insight training, there are various options. A precondition is to have done the level 1 mindfulness training and the level 2 compassion training. So once you've done those two, there are various options. You can either do a 3-weekend Insight training, or a 1 weekend and a 5-day retreat, which can be either in person or on Zoom. Or there's also the option to do 15 online evening sessions. So those are the ways you can participate in the Insight training. And if you want more information about the path, myself, Choden, and Rob Nan and Heather wrote a book called From Mindfulness to Insight. And that book will really give you a full context of where we go to in this training. So I really encourage you to do the Insight training. It can really make a big difference to your life, and it could really free you from the tyranny of the past and open up a wonderful, colorful future.